The main changes from at least yesterday, for those of you that saw our briefing, is that we have continued the flood watch for much of the same areas as the past few days. These areas have just seen so much rain. I'll show you in a second. Up to 3, 4, 5, locally even 6 inches of rain. And although the rain isn't going to be as widespread in the flood watch area today, the fact is, one downpour could cause some flash flood problems with all the saturated ground that's already out there. So that's why we've continued the flood watch through tonight for this area, and we'll get into more of that shortly. So again, slight risk for excessive rainfall for much of the area today. That deep moisture continues, and there's another boundary that's going to try to focus the heavy rainfall, maybe a little bit further to the south. But again, we can't south and east, but we can't rule out some heavier rains in central, local heavy rains in central Virginia, as well as the Piedmont and into northeast. Lower Maryland, into southeast, lower Maryland, Eastern Shore. There is a marginal risk for severe weather, some damaging winds again, but the heavy rain threat is really the main threat again for today. Lots of clouds out there this morning, so not quite as warm as it has been the past few days. Still 80s to lower 90s with that moisture. The heat index could be upper 90s to the lower 100s for heat indices. And again, the marine areas will be rather benign, sub-small craft advisory conditions. But again, those showers and storms could cause some problems to boaters during the afternoon into the evening hours. I first wanted to start out with showing you the latest radar, just showing you what's going on already. And you can see these showers, heavier showers out here, maybe some embedded thunder developing over the bay, the warm waters of the bay, and they're starting to come into the eastern shore. Fortunately, these areas of the Virginia eastern shore, at least, haven't seen a great deal of rain, so they can handle some of this. But certainly, this is something in the near term we're going to have to watch out if we start seeing some very heavy rainfall continuing over here. For the potential for flooding. You can also see these showers and isolated storms just starting to pop up across northeast North Carolina and Hampton Roads. We are expecting these to expand as the afternoon goes on, as I'll show you here in a minute. So let's look at this weather pattern for the next 5 days first. Again, just showing this continued showers and storms across the area today associated with this trough of low pressure. Unfortunately, this trough hangs around through tomorrow. So again, another round of showers and storms expected tomorrow. Again, maybe not as widespread, but still showers and storms are expected. Maybe a little bit drier on Saturday. There's a hint that this trough may go a little bit further to the south, which may limit the showers and thunderstorms. Again, seasonably warm, but maybe more scattered showers and storms as opposed to the widespread activity we've seen over the past few days. And then for late into the week and weekend into early next week, there's some hints that a cold front or low pressure system may develop and bring some additional showers and storms, especially in the afternoon and evening. So again, we're sort of not getting completely out of this unsettled pattern. Again, maybe not as much widespread rain, but still, showers and thunderstorms each day. And with the grounds already saturated, it's not going to take much to flood. And again, I just wanted to highlight the flood watch for much of the area outside of northeast North Carolina into eastern Virginia. But again, this is mainly because of some scattered storms developing this afternoon all over already very, very saturated grounds. It is just not going to take a lot for flooding to occur this afternoon, even though the rainfall is not going to be widespread. Somewhat ironically, we'll probably see more rainfall, more widespread activity in eastern Virginia, southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, but they can handle a lot more rain. In fact, over the last few days, these areas have received very little rainfall, and so they can handle more rain in the Tidewater, Northeast North Carolina, and Eastern Shore. So that's why the flood watch is not in effect, even though you could see heavier rainfall totals down there today into this evening. And just to highlight the rainfall over the past 2 days, again, a widespread area of 1 to 3 inches across central Virginia, the Piedmont, into the Maryland Eastern Shore. But again, notice how it dramatically diminishes. Really no rainfall close to the coast in Virginia Beach, or very little. So again, these areas can handle a lot more rain compared to back in here. Again, some 4 to even 6, locally 6-inch totals, across the Richmond metro over the past 2 days. And again, this is our QPF map, our rainfall, expected rainfall over the next 72 hours, but a lot of this would be today. Again, notice that we don't have a lot of rain up here. Again, this doesn't account for those localized heavier downpours that could happen. So again, there could be a spot or two or several spots in the Piedmont into central Virginia that does see heavier rainfall today. But again, overall, the heaviest rain will be more focused across the Southeast Virginia, Eastern Shore, Northeast North Carolina. And again, even these areas could see some flash flooding, but again, the risk isn't, at least at this time, doesn't seem as high as in the flood watch area. Just to highlight the excessive rainfall, again, the yellow area is a slight risk for excessive rainfall. Again, much of that is in the flood watch area already. But again, really right through the weekend, there's at least a marginal risk. Again, the rainfall activity, the storm activity may be more isolated to scattered over the next few days, but nonetheless, you cannot rule out a heavier downpour leading to an instance of flash flooding, especially if it falls over an urban area or an area that's have seen a lot of rain, 4 to 6 inches over the past few days. Certainly could see some flooding. Timing of the storms, again, we're mainly expecting the afternoon and evening into the evening hours over the next few days. The main activity being those areas, waning overnight and then building back up during the afternoon, more of a typical summertime type pattern. And the rainfall for the next week, this is through Friday, and then this is through early next week. Again, the highlight is definitely across the eastern part of the area today into tomorrow. But again, scattered activity really continuing right through the weekend into early next week. So before I get into the severe risk, I do want to highlight, just sort of show you one of our model depiction of potential storms development this afternoon. Let me go back here. I apologize for this stuff. So yeah, this is about right now. You can see this. The model has a decent handle on this activity over the eastern shore, over the bay, and starting to develop activity at least across the southeast here. But notice as we go through the afternoon hours, notice how this activity, especially across the southeast Virginia, northeast North Carolina, really expands. And you start to get some training, especially over the metro areas. If you're in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, if you get one of these cells training over your location, you could see some quick flash flooding, especially at least some over some higher water on the roadway. So watch out this afternoon, especially towards rush hour. And then as you go into the evening, notice how late afternoon into the evening, notice how you also see these isolated, slow-moving storms develop across central Virginia into the Piedmont. Again, maybe not as widespread, but again, if these storms are expected to move fairly slowly, and they could drop a lot of rain very quickly. Again, don't worry about the exact placement, rather than just understanding that there will be some scattered storms developing this afternoon that could bring that heavy rainfall. And then really continuing, this is this evening, right through this evening, and maybe another round of storms later tonight across the northeast, the Hampton Roads into northeast North Carolina. So let's get to that severe potential again. There is a marginal risk both today and tomorrow for strong storms, maybe localized severe. The wind threat would be the main concern for both today and tomorrow. And again, some gusts locally up to 60 miles per hour, possible of any storms this afternoon and this evening, with that slow eastward movement or nearly stationary again. So again, the flooding risk will be the main concern for today. But again, we couldn't rule out an isolated severe storm with strong damaging winds and some possibly causing tree damage. And again, this just sort of highlights the area where we're most expecting that to occur. And again, I already showed you the idea of the timing of the storms late this afternoon into this evening, but this just sort of gives you a static view with this afternoon, the storms really developing over the eastern part of the area, then sort of late this afternoon, this evening, potentially developing over scattered storms developing over the Piedmont into central Virginia, and then that additional storm activity potentially continuing overnight, although it will be waning as the night goes on. And again, there is that storm potential on Friday. Again, another day of slow-moving storms with localized damaging wind gusts, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour. Quick view of the regional forecast summary for the next week. Really temperatures are going to remain fairly steady in the upper 80s into the lower 90s really for the next week. This is just typical summertime weather. And again, just showing these afternoon, evening showers each day. So again, very, very typical summertime weather pattern coming up here. The good news is with those low winds over the water and as well as the low waves, the rip current risk will be low through tomorrow and really most likely right through the weekend. And again, very minimal marine threats through the week. Maybe some localized gusts to 20 knots, today into this evening. But other than that, very, very quiet for much of the next 5 days. And again, you can see for the maximum wind gust forecast, mostly less than 20 knots everywhere, and that's really going to be confined to today and to this evening. After that, really the winds are going to be quite light over the marine areas. And again, just highlighting this again, really through the weekend, not only through Friday and Saturday, but also through Sunday as well. Winds are expected to be pretty light, out of the southeast, gradually becoming easterly by Sunday, but again, very light. In the waves, generally 2 feet or less in the bay, 3 to 4 feet over the ocean. Again, that will continue more or less through the weekend. Good news: no tropical weather is expected. No tropical cyclone formation expected through the next week. So that is good news as well. And that is all I have. So be happy to take any questions.